charitable across the board, no matter what. But here, look at this. Just listen to this 4-minute video really quickly, and then interpret it whichever way you want. But this is the first interaction that I ever had with Ethan Klein. This interaction was so positive that it led us to literally make the podcast Leftovers together.
It's actually incredible that this was the ending sequence of Rambo 3. Because this film is dedicated to the...
Stop covering drama, man. Man, shut the fuck up. This is not fucking drama. Take a week off, okay? This is a much larger, much broader point, okay? A lot of people look at this and they go, oh my God, Ethan Klein on screen. This is drama. It's not, okay? I am not covering drama. This is not to like finger wag at Ethan. This is not to be like, look at how hypocritical he is. This is a much broader point that I'm trying to make, which is that like there was a point where a lot of people from XQC all the way to Ethan Klein that were infinitely more charitable, infinitely more understanding, and trying to figure out the world and not just immediately reacting back with negativity.
Brave.
Hassan, bro, how about just doing some internal reflection? If there are so many people that are changing their opinion on you, do you think maybe that you might be responsible? Do these people really have to extend charity to you and your statements over and over and over? Have you ever thought about what you do on a daily basis? You sit there reacting to clips and Twitter comments
barely
all day,
reacting.
snap judgments, roasting people you disagree with all day.
Usually he just walks off.
Have you ever considered why you should be beyond that happening to you? Have you ever thought that maybe you have put yourself in this situation where you've become easily hateable and easily criticizable? You know, I'd love to get into that and understand how you really think about this. Because I gotta say, man, the superiority complex you ooze just isn't helping your case, man.
Mujahideen fighters. And these guys were the guys. Tell me about the legacy of the Mujahideen fighters.
So they are. Yeah, this was not real, by the way. The VHS. This is not a real flick, or rather, the movie's real, but this part was not real. This was edited. It's a Berenstein's Bears moment.
They're fighter troops in the region, and they were fighting against the USSR at the time, and that's why we armed them, because we needed them to fight against the USSR in the region in the Cold War era. And then some of them became more. Some of them decided, you know, well, America's bombing the shit out of us too. Well, fuck them. And the simplest way to describe it is that they, much like ISIS and every single other militant faction, formed more radical and anti-Western militant factions with American training and American arms, and then started fighting America.
So it's kind of a beautiful irony, isn't it? So that's what you meant when you said the brave fighters.
Yeah, and it would be ironic if after like the 7th oopsie, you gotta recognize that it's probably just being done deliberately so that you can justify further engagement in the region and further destabilization in the region. Because it keeps happening. We keep arming a certain sect or a certain militant group, and this happens in Latin American countries as well. We arm a certain group.
The mic is not terrible. It's just that it has a different condenser and a... Like, I just had different settings, different sound settings, man. You just stop focusing on
that. Group becomes even more violent. There's even more destabilization, especially after, like, bombing campaigns or sanctions that kill hundreds of thousands of people, like in Iraq. And then that militant group is like, well, now it's our territory. We can just take over and do whatever the we want.
Yeah, I mean,
and they get even more radical.
What happens when you give the craziest people military weapons and training and then just let them do their thing? I mean...
In a lot of instances, it's not even directly a consequence of their like ideology or Islam or whatever. It's literally that they just have no other options. If you grew up in Iraq and your entire country is bombed in the shit, your infrastructure is eviscerated, you have no future opportunities, you have no options, and your family members have been killed, then they feel like, well, this guy who is a little bit crazy, definitely real crazy, you know, preaching all this hatred towards America, maybe he has some good ideas, and that's how a lot of people find themselves at the precipice of radicalization. Like Taliban increased its numbers and influence in Afghanistan after the American invasion, which of course is not that surprising, and that is despite the fact that the American forces there killed a load of members, and yet their ranks are stronger than ever, and now America is negotiating with them as a legitimate entity in the country. Like, they are a powerful and legitimate force now, almost directly as a consequence of American imperialism.
The reason why I'm pointing this out is not to be like, look at Ethan, like, look at how much his attitude has changed. I think it's important to recognize how this change occurs. This is from 2020. This is the first interaction I've ever had with him. When he's interpreting what I have to say charitably, what I'm saying right here is no different than my analysis over October 7, my analysis revolving around Hezbollah, my analysis revolving around the Ansar Allah movement in Yemen. Okay? Nothing is different. It is virtually identical.
Say what you will about Destiny, at least he reads Wikipedia over tweets. It's so funny, dude. All these people are such jokes.
That you don't just sympathize with these people. Because if that was all you had said on the situation, people wouldn't have such a reason to criticize you. First, you had the 9/11 comment. Then you had the Dan Crenshaw comment. Then October 7th. Then you interviewed a Houthi. Oh, and how about the literal propaganda you played on stream calling it a music video? I'm almost forgetting the container ship being raided. I mean, dude, Hassan, I could go on and on. It's pretty clear you are beyond sympathy at this point, my dude. These people don't extend charity to you anymore, Hassan, because you have made your opinion blatantly obvious over the years. These people were probably under the impression at first that you were just shining a light on something a lot of people don't know about. But after you've seeded the world over the course of years with little comments and reactions over and over, they see what you're actually about, Hassan. This really isn't rocket science. It's called changing your opinion when you have more information.
My commentary has not changed at all. And I think that the issue is a lot of people will always say, Hassan, you've changed. You've become a different person. You've become significantly more radical. And it's like,
No, he was always a
I
retard.
have not. And
Like, he's believed this from day one, from when he was, when we were still watching in the Young Turks, bro.
The most significant component here is just charitability.
He's like one of the people that like turned me off the Young Turks because he's so fucking
Imperialism and
lunatic.
destabilization in the region.
How many Iraqis died in that?
That's when I started to realize, like, yo,
That George
these
Bush
people
war.
don't believe anything actually liberal. They're just crazy.
Blind analysis, they love good versus bad dynamic. You dogpiling on Ethan is what they crave. You explaining the situation and helping others understand your vision of empathy and charitability is annoying for them because they refuse to learn. Exactly. This is a very annoying part.
What? Explaining the situation and helping others understand your vision of empathy and charitability. What? There's a lot of you could say about Hassan. Empathetic and charitable is not it, right? Holy shit. It's like the exact opposite of what this guy is, bro.
In the way that this community operates as well.
That's crazy. The glazing there is nuts.
The people that claim that they didn't know you had certain positions are disingenuous. You are one of the most consistent, stubborn, and message-focused people I've ever seen. If they claim they didn't know what you believed, they're either lying or weren't really listening. Yeah.
I agree with that. It's
Or-
true. He's always been a fucking
The third
extremist, bro.
they were listening, but they weren't really paying a lot of attention, or they didn't have other underlying biases, or they weren't primed
yeah.
by a drama farm.
If you're against me, you must be. It must be because you're biased, right?
Or
Didn't
any
we're,
number of
we're,
different, like, Keemstar
weren't we literally in the same fucking sentence just talking about how charitable he was? Bro, this guy's a lol cow, dude. It's fucking hilarious.
orbiters, you know what I mean?
Or, fourth, your commentary might not have
Unbelievable.
changed that much, but there sure have been a massive influx of examples that you aren't just searching for sympathy for these people. You pretty clearly have more of an agenda than that.
So
if it
funny,
was
dude.
all about sympathy, you wouldn't be laughing at the thought of people being essayed, purely because they're making your side look bad. And dude, you roasting Willie Mack for not having a political background is pretty rich, Hassan. Sorry we don't all have uncles that run media companies that are willing to let their talentless nephews play pretend media pundit. Remember guys, Hassan is just a journalist doing journalism.
They're going along with bro tip stuff now and how you said it was sarcastic. No. First and foremost, that is satirical, okay? It was a shitty attempt at satire. And it was 12 years ago and deleted 12 years ago. And it is my political perspective, albeit still very progressive at the time, had a bunch of blind spots. Misogyny and also transphobia being two, key ingredients here in terms of like my own personal blind spots. And I've worked against them. I have learned. I have changed my opinion over the
Here we
years.
go.
And it's not only something that I have talked about a million times over, but it's also something that has informed my viewpoint. Like it's something that I bring up voluntarily, regularly when talking about giving people the bandwidth to make mistakes and being more understanding of people when they actually demonstrate that they've changed. So that's it. It's not something that I've like sheltered. It is embarrassing. So it's not like something that I love. It's not something I particularly enjoy. I also look like Steven Crowder, which makes it even worse in my opinion. Like I just straight up in those old ass fucking videos, I just look like Steven Crowder, which I fucking hate. God, I was so icky.
I love this point that Hassan has been trying to make recently. Trying to act like his
you will.
days were just bad satirical jokes. Also, he could act like he's been consistent on his values for more than a decade. Yeah, articles like shout out number 4, Miley Cyrus works at the VMAs, adult industry gets AIDS, and Lamar Odom's crack record. Or how about shout out number 3, sexting porn stars, hyperlooping, and naked Justin Bieber. These totally sound satirical, my dude. It's not like these read like your current stream titles for Twitch. Bro, just admit it. This project was to prove to Chank that you have the chops to be a media personality for TYT. I mean, just look at this stuff, dude. Sure, it comes off horribly cringe, but it does not come off like satire.
This week in shoutouts, I bring you what's really important in the news. Shout out to Elon Musk,
Holy
the ultimate
fuck,
swag
dude.
champion of
This guy
all
is
time,
such a
for unveiling his latest invention, the Hyperloop, earlier this afternoon. Basically, the design is similar to a gun shooting a bullet through a tube, where the bullet happens to be going 800 miles per hour while carrying people. According to Musk, the Hyperloop will also be faster than a bullet train and at a fraction of the cost. Now, the serious question I have for Elon Musk is this.
Oh.
How do you have the time to come up with this shit when women are probably tossing their salads your way faster than you can say Hyperloop in every single corner? You're a designated genius, you're a good-looking dude, and you happen to be a fucking billionaire. So my second actually serious question is this one. How will I take a piss on the Hyperloop? Am I sending my golden trail down your science tubes at 800 miles per hour? Because if that's the case, Hyperloop just got way more fucking awesome. Aside from being able to get people from San Francisco to LA in under 30 minutes, at today's press conference, you managed to give every single member of Al-Qaeda the massivest hard-on ever. Anyway, Elon, I admire your conquest in becoming the real-life Tony Stark without the creepy facial hair, and for that, you are our bro of the week.
How is this good for the Trump campaign? Any undecided voters are going to see this as a right-wing freak interviewing glazing Trump and not help swing their vote. I think that a lot of dumb people still think Elon Musk is awesome. I'll say that much. A lot less people now think Elon Musk is awesome, but there's still plenty of dumb people because the media for years and years glazed him as like a genius and a brilliant boy. So there's definitely still a lot of like average Joes that probably think that, Elon Musk is cool. I've never been one of those guys. I've been a fucking hater.
For our social guru segment, I'm gonna let you know how you can get laid because you currently sit in your mother's basement and watch YouTube videos all day. Our bro tip of the week is going out to all the wallflowers. This is a little thing me and my friends like to call the 5-second rule. What is the 5-second rule, you might ask? The 5-second rule is exactly when you see a girl for the first time ever and you don't think for longer than 5 seconds and you immediately react. If you think for more than 5 seconds on what you're going to do with the hot girl that just walks into the bar with her friends screaming, "Guys, tonight, I just want to dance, Stacy. I just want to dance." You're never, ever going to get laid, and here's why. Because us guys, no matter how confident we are, we get psyched out. Here's why the 5-second rule works. Because when you start thinking for longer than 5 seconds, you're immediately not thinking with your dick and also thinking with this pesky thing up here that we like to
This
call
guy's so
our brain.
cringe, dude.
So once you start thinking
To be
with your
fair,
brain,
this was
you're
like 10 years
immediately going
ago,
to
right?
psych yourself out. And when you psych yourself out, you're not getting laid.
He was
and
very
you're
dude bro back
microwaving
then.
a
It
bottle
was
of
so
baby
fucking
lotion
cringe.
for the 7th time that week.
Yeah, bro, that's not satire. That's just a convenient excuse so you don't have to go too deep into you being an absolute insufferable tool. I mean, come on, this guy used to jack off Elon Musk acting like he was the second coming. And now he acts like he has never been a fan of Elon Musk and has always criticized him. This is exactly why so many people don't like you, Hassan. Because you're just disingenuous. Which is exactly why people
Super
like
fake.
XQC are calling you out more and more.
Is a literal slave of public opinion and most common take on the internet. He has to abide by what the people say and what the little guy says, and he has to copy and paste their opinion to be accepted because that's his currency. It is literally his method of exchange with the world, and he is stuck by that like a puppet. And he's gonna act like these are my own views. Let me check on the internet. Okay. Guys, these are my views. I stand by this, guys. Guys, I'm on your side. I'm the little guy. Guys. Guys, I'm not a class traitor. Oh, guys, but I work at Amazon, Twitch is Amazon. Twitch subscriber with Amazon Prime. But guys, what? Guys, the picket fence line at the Amazon. Don't, please. Don't break the union at
Why
Amazon.
did it have to be a fucking rare,
So
bro?
evil
This is
to
gonna
them.
go.
Amazon, I got you guys. Yo,
This is
yo,
not gonna
ads,
go well.
release 5 today. Guys, watch some ads from Amazon. Oh, money from Amazon? Amazon Prime? Yeah. Guys, Amazon's so weird. Oh shit. What a joke, dude. What a joke. What a f***ing joke. Holy.
What a fucking joke indeed. Hassan is just so desperate for public approval. He's just so desperate to feel like he understands the little guy. He really just wants the public to like him. He sits there day in and day out, raking in profit from a company that he claims is evil, then blows off people that criticize him, saying they aren't being charitable enough to him, and that they are obsessed, and that they orbit destiny. This guy will never take responsibility. Dude will never do some internal reflection on why so many people criticize him now. Jeez, this guy really has some problems. Alright guys, I said my bit. I hope you guys liked the video. And if you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe.
It was alright.
And if you want to watch more content like this, YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video right here.
Don't say I didn't warn you guys when I said BioWare is screwed and most likely going down in flames. We have our first official major loss at the studio in Sylvia Fekudakudi, a senior writer with the company for nearly 15 years, has officially announced her departure and doesn't have a plan on what to do next, which should tell you all you need to know about what's going on at BioWare right now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT, and a massive loss for BioWare, a studio that is undergoing quite a bit of scrutiny and seems to be on a disastrous path towards destruction. And this is hot off the heels of me covering insiders who work at BioWare reaching out to me saying that internally there are talks right now of layoffs and massive concerns that they may not have their jobs come the new year.
The game's already on sale
after
for
that.
35%
That's
off.
how bad it is.
Came out
there
last
right
month.
now. So I think it's safe to say that
That's how
Dragon
bad
Age
it is.
Veilguard underperformed quite a bit. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down how one of the lead writers of 15 years, Sylvia Fekudakudi,
For a company that like almost never does
without
fucking
anywhere to
sales
go. They're just up and saying,
in like
yeah, my
a
time
year,
has come
right?
here.
The first year,
This isn't
it's
the place that it used to be. And
sale
yet
after a
another
month is
blow to
bad
once
news.
magnificent and
They
now
didn't
very
make their
struggling
money.
ship called BioWare.
Not even
Sylvia
close.
Fekudakudi, a senior writer of the company for 15 years, has officially announced her departure. This comes hot off the heels of the disastrous launch of Dragon Age the Veilguard, currently rumored from insiders contacting me, telling me that it has sold under 1.5 million copies.
Yeah, that doesn't
in
surprise
over
me at all.
2 months of launch time, out of the expected 10
Was it 2
million
months?
sales
Sorry.
in
That's
the
right,
first
October.
3 months. I think it's pretty safe to say they're not getting anywhere close to that. Sylvia took to Blue Sky to let everyone know that she isn't going to be long for this company anymore. Hey everyone, sorry I've been quiet on here. Was busy with a big decision, namely deciding to leave BioWare. I'll really miss working with everyone there, but after 15 years, it just feels like a good time for a break. If/when I've got something noteworthy lined up, I'll mention it here. So this should tell everybody exactly what they need to know about the current direction of BioWare and the employees' mindsets working there. Dragon Age the Veilguard was such an epic failure that one of the writers that's been there for over a decade, we're talking a decade and a half, after Veilguard launched and fell flat on its face, they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna start walking out the door because it's not going to be pretty here. Then you pair that with saying that they don't have anything lined up, but they'll be sure to let you guys know when they do find something. Tells you that they're jumping ship because they'd rather not work than deal with whatever the hell's going on at BioWare internally right now. That's a big yikes. She later added, I'll go back to answering your questions/comments, thank you for them, before shutting the account down. It'll still just be slow, because I've left BioWare. There's likely a few things I can't answer now just because I can't look them up with certainty anymore. But a lot of questions I saw are fine. So this strikes me as a very kind person that just wants the games to be talked about. Someone very passionate about what they put their work into. This is someone that started at BioWare during Mass Effect 2. Somebody that has a talent for story writing, and the entire tenure they've been there, they've seen BioWare's ship sink. The fact that Fekudakudi is leaving without a plan or any kind of future prospects is extremely telling. She began her career at BioWare with Mass Effect 2 in 2010 and contributed to several high-profile titles while she was there, including Mass Effect 3, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Anthem, before returning to Dragon Age series for Veilguard. Her decision to leave the company comes amid increasing speculation that the game's underperformance
Oh my god, the bitch had me
could
stuck.
spell
Fuck.
even further trouble for BioWare, as multiple insiders have contacted me directly with heavy layoffs potentially incoming very soon at BioWare. And hearing this tells me that this person doesn't want to be around to see it all go down. The Veilguard has been widely criticized for failing to meet both player and industry expectations, despite glowing reviews from a very heavily curated group of quote-unquote professional reviewers. The game only saw a peak concurrent player count of 89,418 players on Steam, and that has since plummeted to a meager 11,279 in the past 24 hours. That is about a 90% drop in player count in less than 2 months after launch. not very sustainable for a company looking to sell a game for the long term. Despite the alarming decline that we could all see from far away, the game director Corinne Bush, the man that's clearly displaying some serious mental health concerns while identifying and dressing up as a woman when they go into work, sidestepped questions about the game's sales performance. When Eurogamer asked him about the commercial response of sales, Bush said, "Unfortunately, on the sales side, that's not something we can really discuss, but of course, as we know with Inquisition, that was a long burn to get those total sales numbers."
That means it's
Which
bad.
I guess you could say is true, but at the same time, Inquisition was a very different story, because people actually like that game, as opposed to the Veilguard, or overwhelmingly because of the inserted messaging and trans ideologies among a slew of other very questionable design choices. Players are rejecting this wholeheartedly, saying, "No, I'd rather play other games. That's not for me."
I'd rather
As
play
I
a real
reported
game.
previously,
I know.
an insider revealed
Crazy,
that
I know.
Internal expectations for the Veilguard were quite ambitious, to say the least, with a rumored target of 10 million copies sold within the first 3 months by the parent company EA. However, the game has only managed to sell under 1.5 million copies so far, according to this insider, and now is only expected to potentially cross 3 million sales lifetime, which would be falling drastically short of any kind of initial projections from EA. We're talking over 7 million short sales. That's not a great look. In light of the Veilguard's underwhelming performance, rumors of impending layoffs have begun to circulate. As I reported previously, the insider that recently contacted me revealed that the mood within BioWare is extremely grim. They stated, "There's rumors around the office that layoffs are on the horizon." The failure of Veilguard has prompted deep introspection within the company, as leadership has been scrambling to identify and address the root causes. It's pretty obvious to anyone with half a brain to figure out why Veilguard has sputtered, but the closer you get to the
Oh, we
center,
don't know
like
why
I
it failed,
said
guys.
before,
Um,
apparently, the more
maybe listen
worried
to your
it becomes
audience,
the people
'cause we do.
working there. You know, the ones making these big decisions, thinking that this is what the public gamers actually want to play, when in reality, it's anything but. BioWare's struggles with the Veilguard are emblematic of broader issues plaguing the company, from misaligned leadership to a gigantic disconnect with their previously established core audience. The studio of BioWare has repeatedly stumbled. Many fans of the series and big-time YouTube personalities like Endymion and Hypnotic have criticized the prioritization of identity politics over engaging storytelling and meaningful gameplay. And it doesn't just stop with YouTubers saying this. It's the gamers themselves. Even if they don't have a voice on a platform, they are taking to comment sections and message boards and just saying, "Hey, this isn't what I signed up for. I don't want ideologies injected into my fantasy role-playing games." I've even personally been pointing out that the lead developer, Corinne Bush's comments about being trans are a primary example of the misplaced focus going on with the game. He even stated, "Being trans shaped everything about who I am." And while representation is important, I'd argue that the statements like that one, alongside the game's lackluster narrative and technical issues, highlight a much deeper problem. BioWare has lost touch with what made them a great game company to begin with, making games that resonate with audience in the first place. The sales took a massive blow, and now the company is eroding, with a massive figurehead leaving on their own accord, without any kind of plans of what to do for themselves in the future. They just want to abandon ship before it sinks. Takanakati's departure genuinely feels like a significant turning point for BioWare. After dedicating 15 years of her life to the company, her decision to leave speaks volumes about the state of the studio as is. Combined with the Veilguard's abysmal performance and rumored layoffs, it's hard to ignore all the signs that BioWare...
It used to be just a bunch of nerds making games for other nerds. Now it's all this activism nonsense and DEI bullshit. Nobody likes that shit, dude. Like, outside of a very small, very loud minority on Twitter, ain't nobody... Oh, well, Blue Sky now, right? Because that's where all the freaks go. Nobody likes that shit. Like, literally nobody.
may be crumbling right in front of our eyes under its
We just
own
want to go
weight,
home
becoming
and beat some
yet
aliens.
another gravestone
Beat some
in
fucking
a graveyard of
skeletons.
companies purchased
As
just
brutal
to
as
go
we
out
can,
and
you know?
die. And maybe this is me just giving a preemptive RIP to BioWare, but it feels like everything is pointing to that. And the next
It should though.
Mass
It should
Effect,
die.
if we
Like,
can get
please,
that
just
far,
stop.
Maybe the last
It's over.
gasp. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. If you guys want more information,
You've
check out
lost what you were.
smashpt.com for the full article. I will link it in the description below. If
Stop
you don't appreciate
animating
what
the
I'm doing,
corpse.
Hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
And Sylvia stuck at the cutie. They were both writers on Mass Effect 2 and 3.
I was only Mass Effect 3. I did some Mass Effect DLC, but ME3 is my first big game.
Oh, oh, that's bad. I just realized this guy's a champion. Oh, this
We
guy.
often talk about patterns.
Some retard wants to. I saw this. Some retard from CDPR hates gamers. Like, okay, that's gonna work out for you, CDPR. Hiring people that hate me, your customer. Okay, brilliant fucking strategy. Like, gotta buy The Witcher 4? Fuck no, right? Go fuck yourself. It's been a slow weekend for drama, man. Kinda.
Yeah, like if Atlas said this about, you know, whatever the if they said, "Oh, we're making another Metaphor game and it's going to be about exploring sexism," I would be like, "Oh, great. Okay, I bet this is going to be a good game." So it's really, what I'm saying is it's really about the messenger more than the message.
These days, with this headline saying having Ciri as the Witcher 4 lead will help the game explore the Witcher world's sexism,
Yeah.
says CD Projekt Red. Now, I'm gonna be very critical of CD Projekt Red in this video, but I gotta defend them here because that is not what they said. That headline is very misleading.
Okay.
You can read the quotes here.
I was
They
about to
mention
say.
nothing about combating sexism.
That's
in
kind of
the world.
retarded.
It's kind of an embarrassing article here, but let's go back to the concerns about the main protagonist here. And
What a surprise. What a surprise that an article written is misleading. It is unbelievable to me how much people just put out bullshit like that without even trying. Like, you're just lying at the end of the day. You're just making up bullshit. Yeah, misrepresented clickbait article. I know, I read it. I saw this myself, what they said, and it had nothing to do with it.
real ones, okay? despite how games journalists might frame some of this stuff, people are not concerned
As a minion,
about
that's
a
not
woman
good. Oh,
taking on
God.
this role in the game as the main protagonist. In fact, a lot of
I think that some people are. People just like Geralt and they wanted to play as him again. I don't
Oh
really
my
think it's that
God.
deep. They're like, well, I don't want to play as her. I want to play as the guy. Yeah, that's just. I really don't like why she Witcher. I don't even think they're thinking about that. They're like, oh, well, what happened to the other character? I liked him. Yeah, it's really not that deep. Like, you're expecting everybody to understand, like, the deep lore behind why women can't be Witchers and, like, some fucking, like, thing, like, Trial of the Grasses. You think people know what the fuck that is? They have no idea. They're just like, oh, wow, what about the guy? I liked him. He was cool. Yeah, it
enjoy the
matters.
character series, especially based on Witcher 3, and I don't think a lot of people have an issue with her having a big role in The Witcher.
No.
However, the
Fucking
fact that she's
ghosts.
a Witcher is what's causing the controversy, because to many, it seems like it's violative of established lore. Now, I'm not some expert on Witcher-related lore, so correct me if I'm wrong about some things in the comments section, but it seems like very established lore that only men could be Witchers, that the task of going through the Trial of the Grasses is so physically brutal that a woman just physically could not make it through. That seems like that was a very established piece of lore, and a lot of people are saying
That
this
was
choice
my understanding as well. Now, I'm not a, you know, an expert in this kind of stuff, but that was also my understanding. Not true? Well, you can say it's not true, but think about it like this. If it's not true, then why do so many people think the exact same thing? There clearly had to have been a statement or something like that about this that gave people this impression.
Violating that lore. Now, in response to that, there's been a lot of discussions and interviews by people at CD Projekt Red and on the team for this game, trying to dispel some of those lore-related concerns. We can see the director here, Kalemba, as well as the CD Projekt Red franchise and lore designer, King Maher. If I'm pronouncing that right, we'll talk about him later in the video, but they say outright that these changes to series character will not come at the expense of the series canon, but will instead represent a natural evolution of her character, and they go on to clarify 100% that she has in fact successfully completed the Trial of the Grasses, so she is a Witcher the same way her predecessors were, and there's no like pseudo-Witcher status that she has. She outright completed the trial, so now you have to say, well, did they violate established law? And based on this, they're trying to say that they're not. And I don't really know. Like, this explanation really is lacking. And you think, why is this really an issue in the first place? And some of these concerns about the lore being switched around and rewritten to make this protagonist choice.
I think that Sapkowski wasn't happy about The Witcher 3 also. So, like, even this doesn't really set me off. He hated it, right? And so it's like, if the benchmark is him liking the game, then based off of that benchmark, the game Witcher 3 was bad. He hates the games. Yeah, the author's a dick. No, he's a massive dick. I think it's funny. Like, I'm not, like, offended by this. I don't dislike him. It's just funny to me. But, yeah. Apparently, yeah, he's a huge asshole.
Work has to do with the fact
that's true. That's hilarious.
The original intent of the author who wrote this saga. And you can see this headline here. CD Projekt Red admits original author was not consulted on series Witcher role in Witcher 4.
What a surprise.
So they make it very clear in an interview here, the developer as well as this Weber individual from CD Projekt Red, that they did not consult the author about The Witcher 4 or this choice of Ciri as the latest Witcher.
Yeah,
so,
again, this also is no problem if you contextualize it around the way that the author reacted to The Witcher 3. But, and this is like, again, in my opinion, it's like another time where like articles get written with like context omitted that ends up making it less problematic.
So they're asked outright by this interviewer at a Eurogamer, has he explicitly said yes, that this choice is absolutely fine and that she could make it through the Trial of the Grasses? And Weber responds saying, I mean, I can actually give you a very good answer because it's written that Sapkowski usually gives, the answer is in the books. And in the books, Sapkowski called Ciri a Witcher multiple times, and Geralt called Ciri a Witcher in the books too. So I think that basically says what Sapkowski, the author, thinks about the topic. And I think that's a very lame answer. Okay, they're saying, I'm going to use the words of the original author to confirm what we're doing is right, but we also are just making up those words for him. He didn't actually talk to us. We didn't consult with him on the topic, so we're just going to infer what he might have thought about this subject. And I think that's a bit unfair, and I think that is something that is kind of concerning, because it seems like they don't really care about the original intent that much, because if they did, they would definitely consult him about this issue and have an answer ready. They had to know they were going to be pressed about this choice of Ciri as a Witcher. But anyways,
I don't agree with this point personally, because a Witcher is a proper noun. It's like a title that means a specific thing inside of the lore. It's not like, for example, you know, there's like terms that are used, I'm thinking of like an example, like an adjudicator, or you know, bishop, or like actual terms that have operator, officer, like mercenary, like different titles, arbiter. These terms in a lot of cases have like a real life contextual meaning that are then co-opted for a video game, right? Inquisitor, like this means something different based off of, are you looking at Warhammer 40k or are you looking at the Spanish Inquisition? So the difference between
it's kind of the same thing though.
is that the Witcher
see, that's a bad example, because a Warhammer 40k Inquisitor is the exact same fucking thing as a Spanish Inquisitor. Like literally the exact same fucking thing. The exact same setup, exact same morality, right? It's just different religion. That's the only difference. So, that was a bad example.
A Witcher is not a term that's used in real life in any capacity. It's invented for the books. So, because there's no secondary definition of the Witcher that exists in a general speaking language, then it would logically mean that if he's referring to her as a Witcher, he means that in fact she is a Witcher. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the logic that I use.
They would also double down on this in other interviews as well, and you would see that individual once again, the lore designer and franchise designer at CD Projekt Red, Maher. He would confirm that same sort of thing, saying, you know, they were called Witcher by the author, which again,
I think that's
point
fair.
out that she was often called a Witcher as sort of a like playful thing, and again, it's kind of like a lame way to justify this choice. But again, let's talk about this Maher individual. You can see they are
Dude's
the
unhinged.
franchise and lore designer at CD Projekt Red. Now they're having a bit of a hard time on Twitter today because all this related lore debate, people have been focusing on the lore designer, obviously, and they're starting to dig through his accounts, and it doesn't look great. Another person in the gaming industry who clearly has a disdain for gamers. Many such cases. So here's some of the tweets in this conversation, I guess implying that him and I think his wife will punch gamers together. Also, he is a journalist. Him and I think his wife will punch gamers together.
How does this keep happening? How do people that actively hate their own audience keep getting jobs making content for this audience?
Good
Why
question.
does I don't understand.
This guy should not be employed in the gaming industry, clearly.
Yeah,
You're in the wrong job,
so
buddy.
Fucking weird, man. Like, cause I feel like there's so many of these cases where the people that are making these games have this like fucking what's the word for it? They have like this resentment towards people that play the games. That they hate their own customers. How do people keep getting hired like this? It's unbelievable. As soon as they vocalize this in public, they should be fired, in my opinion. I don't know. I think you'd probably need a few more points on the graph for me. But like, this definitely is a point on the graph.
Okay,
it's
no.
crazy.
There's a lot more coming. Just obviously, if you say one thing, that's not enough, right? But there's a lot more coming that I already know about. I didn't pre-watch this, but I know of the situation.
together.
The guy should be
Also,
fired.
He is a journalist from The Gamer, which is known.
All right. Now everything makes sense. Here we go.
For a
Yeah,
lot of slop
of course.
articles and is constantly ridiculed by gamers for not being a good news source on the related subjects. On top of that, there's this conversation where he says gamers are already bad enough in response to a...
I say this a lot, but games receiving mixed reviews is a good thing. I don't think we need to snipe at each other because some people thought a game was better or worse than we did. That's
What
not
you gonna
clever, it's
do?
petty and
Stop
never
looking
comes
at your
across
sister
well
like
or is
that.
helpful in any way. That's fine. Exactly, the gamers are bad enough. Yeah, it's just like, it's really weird to me to see this because it's almost like the people that work in this industry view their customers as some form of like unwashed like masses that are only worthy of being talked down to and patronized. And I don't really understand, like, how do you get a, like, you know, it's like if you're a vegan, I would say don't get a job at a steakhouse. Well, if you're a gamer, if you hate gamers, then why would you join an industry that caters to them? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's just weird. It's a Trojan horse? I guess so. Blaming the consumers is bad business? Well, this isn't even really blaming the consumers. This is having like a free-floating hostility and negative feeling towards the towards your customers. I don't see how this is beneficial in any way to anyone. Yeah, because their political activists is culture war? I don't know. I mean, I just feel like if you look at it at a base value, it just seems so ridiculous.
Deleted post. But this one's really telling. It says,
here we go.
If you're an adult who loses their mind to the concept of pronouns, which everyone, everywhere, throughout all of history has used every single day, there is something wrong with your life. But it's not...
See, while that is accurate, we've used specific ones, not nonsense made-up ones.
what you think it is.
There's a
The
big
woke's
difference.
aren't out to get you. You're just a clown. I honestly feel sad when I see people with very clearly...
I don't agree with this because it's always that people are... This is the issue. It's that they introduce pronouns into the game, and then the people who are unreasonable are the people who don't like it. So it's like, if it's really not such a big deal, then why did you put it into the game in the first place? It's gaslighting. So like, and if you want to have a conversation about like whether they should be in the game or not, then that's different. But you can't make an appeal to triviality when you're the one who programmed it and coded it into the game. It's clearly not trivial to you. That's why you put it in. It's just like, it's amazing to see such like a, just like a thoughtless argument being used.
Intellectual
it's not about the programs,
disconnect.
it's the compelling people to act in a certain way. Well, that's the thing, right? Is that the idea is that in order to create a... I think the reason why people don't like pronouns is because it creates a soft expectation of compelled speech. Because now everybody has to assert what their pronouns is if other people are doing it, right? Remember like the AOC thing where she was like apologizing for not having pronouns in her bio? I think that's a really great example of it. So this is the reason why people don't like pronouns. And also another reason why people don't like pronouns is very simple because most people, I would say like 80–90% of people think that there's two genders and that's it. And so why would you need a pronoun when there's only two of them? It's just that simple. So that's really also another big reason. 99%? I don't know about in the West. I have no idea.
They lost the ability to think because they have been swallowed whole by some insane, inane grit. It is absurd that people can be so far gone that they will publicly go berserk at the sight of the word they, or even just pronoun.
Well, you put it in the game, so it matters a lot to you. I mean, I don't see how, I don't understand the logic, like what takes more work, writing a tweet or programming something into the game? Like, obviously programming something into the game takes a lot more work. So, like, how is it that these people are unreasonable and crazy when, yeah, it's an overstretch? Yeah, exactly, right? Does your email have he and they? I have no idea. Like, I've never used pronouns in my life. The minority opinion is trying to gaslight itself on the majority while it's trying to force itself on the majority while gaslighting them at the same time. Yeah, I think that it's a very weird situation. And I think the reason why people don't like pronouns is because it is fundamentally antithetical to observable reality. And I think also it's
Oh no,
again,
I was
passive
not looking at
social
that at
consent
all.
speech.
Really a new or even worthwhile observation, but people online are way too obsessed with other people's lives and choices. Who gives a shit what anyone else is doing once they're content and not harming anyone? Let people be happy and mind your own business.
I think that people would probably say that towards the people that are putting pronouns into the game. I think that's the whole point. It's that they never needed to be in the game in the first place, and everything was fine, and now you're putting them in the game and people don't like them. I think that if you don't like pronoun, like, I would never not play a game because of pronouns, but if you don't want to play a game because of pronouns, you have every right to do that. And I think the problem that a lot of these people have is that they view the moral position of their argument to be able to supersede people's own, like, their free will. So, like, if you want to do this and you don't want to play a game with pronouns, you have every right to do that. And if enough people don't want to do that, then your game doesn't sell and your company goes out of business. Like, that's it.
So yeah, this guy is all about pronouns, clearly likes the use of the term they, and again, with the gaming industry right now, this is the type of stuff people don't want to hear about someone in charge of parts of the game, especially the lore of a game that is so anticipated like The Witcher 4. But there's some other tweets, it seems like they're very angry, they're trying to mock an individual for basically
And I also think that, like, the whole thing of, like, oh, they're not out to get you is part of bullshit.
Bro, how the fuck am I supposed to kill this guy? As a monk? The hell?
Like, as soon as somebody says something that is not part of their established type of thinking, they always try to cancel them and say bad stuff about them all the time. They'll call somebody racist or sexist or homophobic or whatever, transphobic, yeah. So, no, these people are they're absolutely out to enforce their will and enforce their viewpoint onto other people. Exactly, yeah, that's it.
Ugly character designs, it seems like they don't like people doing that. On top of that, you can see this comment, I don't know what exactly he's referring to, but on top of that,
let me see here. After human wolf mind virus starts again. Yeah, so you're like making it a personal insult or whatever. And this is the problem, is that, and you see this a lot with these types of people, is that when you actually ever question their narratives or question what they say, they'll just immediately result to these, like, weird personal insults and not even discuss what the topic is.
Criticizing ugly character designs, it seems like they don't like doing that. On top of that, you can see this comment, I don't know what exactly he's referring to, but you can see 2 years ago, he said the worst thing about this is when it's also done bad faith. Not only will YouTubers monetize your work, they'll do it while talking about how wrong and stupid you are in front of millions. Strong anti-woke audience. How is this considered acceptable is beyond me.
No,
And so these people are always in favor of restrictions on speech. Yeah, they want to tell you, yeah, I wonder if this is a video that I did, right? It very much could have been. So yeah, freedom of speech, the guy's wrong. Yeah, exactly. And so this is what it comes down to. They're always pro-censorship because they know that their ideas and their viewpoints can't exist. Discussing a topic needs intelligence. Well, people like this, unless they're the ones restricted, exactly. I wonder if he blocked you? Probably. I don't know.
So clearly they have an issue with YouTubers, which, if it wasn't already confirmed,
well, the reason why they have an issue with YouTubers is because they can't control them. They can control games media, but they can't control people on YouTube. And because those people are...
Oh, somehow I did it. Holy shit.
So that's why they don't like YouTube content creators. It's because the YouTube content creators are not accountable.
And there it is, because journalists absolutely hate YouTubers with a burning passion. But on top of that, it seems like they have a negative view of YouTubers.
I definitely puckered up when that guy started, when I ran out of the health and he started swinging.
Right now, and it seems like this is not a very good stance to have.
Lockdown's gonna be even worse.
Not end up the subject of videos criticizing you and the games you're working on, the studio you work at.
Well, everybody has a right to have an opinion. And I think this is the issue, is that these people think that you don't have a right to have an opinion. That's really what the problem is. Is that they don't want you to have an opinion, and they want to tell you what your opinion is.
Did I?
So we will see Vera Dark here. Thank you for doing the good work, some honest work here. Finding their interactions with Alyssa Mercante. So basically you'll play right here. She's just scrolling through with the @ of Alyssa Mercante, former Kotaku editor, of course. And they're regularly interacting with her posts for years.
Yeah, absolutely glazing her, 100%. And yeah, these people, all of them are part of the same ideological group. Yeah, these people are just a poison. Wherever they go, they just make it worse. That's it. They've been allowed to get away with it for so long, it's going to take a while for things to change. Well, here's really the issue. It's that a lot of these people, I think if enough people complain about it, it will go away. Because at a certain point, like, all of the companies that are doing these things, they don't really care about any of these social issues at all. They're just trying to go where they think the most people are. So if you can make them think that this isn't the right way to go, then they'll go somewhere else. Studios are full of people like him? Yeah, but the studios are being run by people that are not like him.
And honestly, if you're the kind of person who's regularly interacting with someone like Alyssa Mercante and you're in the gaming industry, that is a really bad look. Let's just be honest about that. Yeah. On top of that, let's see here that this isn't the first time that we've had someone at CD Projekt Red lashing out. In fact, it's not the second time. It's not even the third time. It's happened multiple times. And only a few weeks ago, the CD Projekt Red senior experienced designer was mocking a fan who was worried about DEI-related concerns. This was the initial interaction. IGN posting this Witcher 4 preview here, where this individual said, "I'm not excited over it, and the Witcher series is one of my favorite game series. CD Projekt Red is too deep into DEI, ESG bullshit," where this person goes,
the laughing
emoji and a clown emoji. So this person is CD Projekt Red, at the very least calling this person a clown for pointing out DEI concerns, and based on how you interpret this emoji here,
I mean, it's obvious he's calling him a clown, right? That's fine, right? But if there's too many clowns, you've got to realize maybe it's worth building a circus. That's the issue. It's that, yes, you might disagree with these people or whatever, definitely, sure, but the problem is if there's too many of them, uh-oh, you've got a problem. Yeah, I'm sorry, but people will still buy it. I think that, I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I think that the entire controversy with The Witcher 4 is overblown. I think it's totally overblown, but this is like a separate problem from the actual game itself.
Yeah.
So like the game having Ciri as a main protagonist, I don't
Nobody
think
cares.
It matters a whole lot. I don't really care about that. But I think the issue is more that like it's like an ongoing pattern that I think has been happening for like a few years now, where you have game developers and people that work in the games industry that actively resent their fans and actively talk shit about their fans. And I think that you're seeing the result of that in games that are coming out in order to spite this audience of people, and those games are failing.
What the fuck? Oh no!
So
I
think that's really what the big difference is.
Oh my god!
See this as telling her to shut up, where she interacts by saying, "Wow, that's so very professional of you. You know I'm a customer, and more than that, a fan of the Witcher series, and you're a senior experienced designer at CD Projekt Red. Are you sexist too?" Telling the woman to shut up and calling her a clown, and then he says, "Immediate allegations, along with misinterpreting. Just wow." So dismissing anything.
I mean, if you call somebody a clown, it's obviously an insult. What are we even talking about? It's like I mean, it's you can say that, like, that's fine. But, like, how are you gonna, like, it's the intellectual dishonesty of this is always crazy.
He was saying once again, and I went back
what are
to
we talking
this
about?
interaction, by the way, and it appears that this designer is suspended. His account is gone.
That's probably better for him. Yeah. Wow.
It's only been a couple weeks
Hey,
since this interaction happened, so that's really weird.
I wonder what he did.
Many professional people from the industry get their Twitter account suspended. So he
Yeah.
must have been saying some stuff or
It's
doing
like if
some-
you get banned on Twitter, you have to do something really bad. Like, that's crazy.
then I don't know. But his account is gone. And now let's switch to
How the fuck was that a hit, bro? Come on.
Okay. So some people are asking the question: is CD Projekt Red woke?
I don't know.
And the answer is yes. Like, no doubt whatsoever. They are one of the most woke gaming companies out there. They are very open about it, and you could overlook these things if you're producing good games. But now when you're slowing things down and people...
They've made good games. That's my viewpoint. Cyberpunk is really good, and The Witcher 3 is really good. Those are the 2 recent games they made. So, like, I mean, if you have a good track record like that, I'm ready to take a risk. They used to? Yeah, I know, but we don't know if they make good games now until the new game gets made, do we? So yeah, I'm gonna wait.
Same.
I think that we're counting our chickens before they hatch here.
I'm not really a big Witcher fan anyway, so it's no big
Yeah, I do.
no big ask.
Or worried about upcoming releases like The Witcher 4, people start paying more and more attention to the DI slop on the website and really just build throughout their entire company. And
Oh no, I'm not hitting him. Oh
I
fuck.
covered this about 2 months ago. The CEO actually quote tweeted Endymion, who's a YouTuber. We talked about some of his reports on the gaming industry, and back a couple months in October, he talked to an insider.
I wish that more people would do this, by the way. This is why I don't watch a lot of videos about insiders, because I usually think that they're not true. And like, I feel like I've seen these things play out enough times to where, like, I don't believe any of that stuff.
Who revealed that the CD Projekt Red environment, their work environment, is just riddled with DEI. It's like you can't escape it over there.
Yeah.
And the CEO, Michael Nowakowski, felt so depressed by the claim. He made this tweet basically denouncing everything that...
I totally support him making this tweet.
Got him.
I think this is a good thing. I want to have direct and honest communication with people like this, where they just simply look at a topic and react to it immediately. It's a lie, though? Okay.
Endymion was reporting on, saying, seems we live in times where anyone can record complete nonsense and make a story out of it. CDPR, talent leaving? We have the lowest rotation of people in recent years. DI-driven recruitment, we hire based on merit and talent alone, just as we make games driven by artistic vision alone. So yes, this whole claim that there's merit-based decisions, and they do that even with their choice of how they make their games and their who
No,
they
and
hire.
he is lying about this, by the way. He is. 'Cause I've seen the videos. I know what they're
Advanced and
gonna
all
show.
these things, and people gobble this up.
Yeah.
So they saw him going after a
That's my knee.
YouTuber who's anti-woke, and people were cheering this on. They're like, "Wow, oh my
course.
God, yeah, go after that grifter, yeah, prove those anti-woke
Sure.
people wrong." But these claims by the CEO were instantly challengeable. Like, I can't believe the gaslighting that this person tried to
This
attempt.
is why they don't do this.
I mean, you go
Yeah.
to their website, they have a whole page. In fact, they have multiple sections dedicated to diversity and inclusion. It's like one of the first things they want you to know about their company. And you talk about merit-based, they have programs where they outright state that being a woman in the company will help you advance faster. They also have a program, Girls in the Game, that is only open to women. Men are not allowed to have girls in the game.
Well, here's really, I mean, all you have to do is you just read this right here.
Oh, no.
We're committed to creating small immersive worlds that provide gamers high quality entertainment, which is why we try to create realities that are credible and internally consistent. So, like, how are you going to say that you're doing it for creative reasons when you're listing out all the ways that this ideology permeates your game? Like, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just was lying, right?
A program, Girls in the Game, that is only open to women. Men are not allowed to apply for this. So again,
It's crazy.
That
to
seems
me
illegal.
That people have this, like, I really wish that guys took this more seriously. I think most guys don't really care a lot about this. but they had this program since Witcher 2. Well, yeah, sure, but like it still means that what he said wasn't true then, right? Like I don't know why guys put up with like these different systems like this that are just put out to advantage girls for no reason. Reverse the genders, is it okay? Well, of course it's not. Yeah, I mean that's it.
It's not even okay when you don't reverse the genders. Right? This is fucking
very
retarded.
interesting, but there's more and more if you keep going across here.
Yeah.
And they have one of their pillars, one of their goals. And the first thing is strengthening the DEI culture at CD Projekt by, among others, fostering inclusive leadership. And that is also another thing they look in terms of their leadership positions, diversity. It's an actual thing that impacts whether or not you're getting a leadership role. How diverse you are. On top of that,
yeah,
they have diversity not just with their employees, but with their games as well. As they say here, we are making efforts to place in our games characters of different personalities, social classes, ethnic groups, and sexual preferences.
So how do you go and say it doesn't affect the games? How do you do that? You literally are fucking like... Oh, God. This is absolute insanity. I think we're close to the breaking point. People are so tired of this shit. Yes.
We show the
Oh
inequality
no.
that exists.
Oh no, one of those guys is a fucking boss. Oh shit.
As well
Okay.
as various problems they must overcome.
That guy's gonna melt me, dude.
Very wholesome chungus. I'm sure gamers will go wild over such
And a lot of people, somebody in chat said, well, this isn't Cyberpunk 2077, and it's good. I think that that's a great point. That's a great counterpoint. But the issue is that it's also at their workplace. Like, I can't see a single reason why giving a person an advantage in a workplace because of an immutable characteristic like ethnicity or gender or sexual orientation is a good thing. Like, I think that, yeah, sure. Like, with the games, it's fine. Who cares?
It made me almost shed a tear, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, it gets so crazy with them. They literally won an award for DEI. They won a DEI award because they're that in this stuff. The CEO told you none of this is happening. Right?
Are you kidding me?
Face. Yes. CD Projekt Red is woke. I don't think there's any debate about that. And everything going on with The Witcher 4 and some of these choices and some of the concerns about the lore being violated or not respected, and also some of the
Another one. You've got to be shitting me.
project. I think there's reason for concern. We're just gonna have to wait.
At least this guy doesn't have the fucking purple shit.
It's gonna be a game that's highly anticipated no matter what. But there seems to be some rolling momentum about criticism being lodged towards not only that game but CD Projekt Red.
I think it's just a buildup of resentment. It's a buildup of resentment, and it's people that are seeing red anytime that they see any sort of like a female character that's expressed in a story. I think that's what happens the most. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, like I'm still reserving judgment myself personally until I see real gameplay because I think that CD Projekt Red has earned that they've earned that goodwill because I think they've made good games. But in terms of the way that their studios run, I can't imagine any sort of a good justification for giving people a priority based off of an immutable characteristic. It's just bad no matter how you look at it. They changed the engine though? Yeah, but there's Unreal, like, for example, Black Myth Wukong runs on Unreal 5, and I think it's a great game. So, like, if you want to tell me, like Witcher 4 is going to be bad because it's on Unreal, like, that's not really a good argument to me.
But for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, I think that really, as I said, I'm still willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm still willing to, like, say, you know what, it doesn't matter, it'll be fine, we'll wait, and we'll see what happens. I think that's what I'm still going to do. I'll be real, like, I'm still not going to go out on a limb and say the game is going to be bad yet. Excuse me. And CD Projekt was already like that, always trying to be holier than the Pope. If the current cultural narrative was different, they would switch instantly. Well, that's the way with every company, right? It's nothing really special with them at all. So yeah, I'll wait for your sponsored stream and save the money. Well, I don't know if I feel like after all the stuff that I say, I'm probably not going to get a sponsor from these guys. I wouldn't expect that to happen. Now, maybe, who knows? But I just don't really think so. And are you aware of many from the Witcher 3 developer team and Cyberpunk team left? You're right. But, I mean, again, I think that the studio has earned my goodwill, and I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, it costs me nothing. Like, I don't need to get upset. I'll link you guys a video, give it a like. This is a... Like, I think that the big problem is that you have a massive contingency of people that are making video games that actively hate their core audience. And you can say that, oh, well, these games are just, it's just a small minority of people. I think that that is the biggest fucking cope that you can possibly have. If you think that putting in a non-binary character or something like that is going to go over better with the average Walmart American, are you fucking crazy? Are you insane? Absolutely. Who the fuck thought that? So if you're relying on like some kind of like you know, this like mainstream wide audience that's not going to care about this stuff, didn't those people just elect Trump? What are you talking about? That's not even true. Like, yes, really, you live in a fucking bubble. Yes, it's even more unpopular on the internet, or sorry, in real life. At Walmart America, it is. And we make dog shit food. I don't eat it. I'm not touching Witcher 4, especially more due to the blatant lack of respect to the source material, so fuck them. Again, I, as somebody who never finished the game, I could give less of a fuck about that. But I do hope that it's good, man. I'm a Costco guy? Okay, all right. Let's not get started with that. So, yeah. Deciding the future of a game way before anybody spends the decent amount of money of time with it has to stop. It's a bad cultural trend. I disagree. Because if people don't like where a game is going, it's like the guy that's like, why are you shitting on my plate? And then the guy says, how do you know it's shit? It's not even out yet. I feel like that's kind of, that's probably a really good example of that for me. And I feel like this is the way I would see it. If people don't like the way that the content is in a game, I think letting the developer know is always a good idea. And of course people are going to make up their mind immediately, because that's what they're going to see. It's more about changing the main character. People would complain if they made God of War 5 and made you play with Atreus only. That's a really great point. I think that you're right. And I think it's actually just that simple for a lot of people. They don't like gamers. Sounds like they don't like money. Yeah, these video game companies really need to stop hiring people that actively hate their target audience, because these people will poison games and include things that alienate people that will buy the games. I don't know why this keeps happening. And I feel like this is definitely on the downswing and it's going away. The ESG funding has run out eventually. Well, it already has. That's why a lot of these companies are abandoning this type of thinking. So yeah. And why do modern game devs hate gamers so much? The reason why modern game devs hate gamers is because they view gamers as being culturally regressive, and they think that gamers are trying to hold on to a worldview that is antiquated and out of date. So they think that gamers, and they also think that they're losers, like just straight up. They think, you know, people like this Rev or me, like whatever, like just gamers that care about this are losers. And so it's basically a combination
We paid their
of
bills, though.
disagreeing politically, thinking that these people are of a lower social class, and then also having a moral mandate to think and do what you want to them. So like those are the reasons why. I mean, I disagree with them. I think they're stupid. But
Yeah,
like, if you want the example,
let's see what happens
like,
when you
what
lose
the
your job
explanation
because
is,
nobody bought your
there's the
garbage.
explanation right there. So yeah, don't forget the gaslighting. Yeah,
Then
but
it's
the
all, oh my
gaslighting
god,
is an
people have
outcome
jobs, guys.
of
Well, I should have thought about that
gaslighting
before
is
you
an
fucked
outcome
up.
of,
Fuck around,
the lack of
find
respect
out.
and thinking that they're above you. Right, that's it. It's time for the games industry to stand up for itself. Rise
I'm
up.
tired of people pretending like there's not a problem. They see it, they recognize it, they know it's there, but for whatever reason, they just will not talk about it.
Get back
Over
here.
the last few years, there's been a growing divide between players, developers, and journalists, and it's only getting worse. Recently, an article popped up from The Guardian where the writer in question calls for the gaming industry to make a stand against the players, to speak on behalf of the journalists, the critics, and everyone else, citing that they see signs of disturbing misogyny.
It's crazy how this shit happens, bro. Like, I'm actually so tired of this. I think the problem is that a lot of the people that work in this industry, one of the biggest problems is when they think that they have some sort of obligation to put forward a message. Like, they have some kind of message that they want a game to put out there. They want to have like some sort of idea going out there, like, oh, well, we don't want to have women that are sexualized. Like, this is a message that you're trying to put out there. And that's more important than that's more important to you than actually making the game. Making a genuine quality product. That's what matters. It's not about games, it's about politics. Yeah, I think every normal person sees this. Art always has messages. Yeah, but I think the truth is people don't like the message. It's fucking annoying. Get a better message.
To realize that this is a hot button topic, this is a controversial issue, and more times than not, when people cover this, they're covering it from the extremes. And I'm going to be talking about it, and I'm bringing the most dangerous position into this conversation, which is the voice that often goes unheard.
Yeah.
The voice of the sane. Former head of Kotaku.
That's a fucking fact. Yeah. You're not going to hear that a lot.
Kenza McDonald of The Guardian writes, the disturbing online misogyny of Gamergate has returned. If it ever went away.
Fucking Bell.
While some of their language has changed, the sentiment of the latest aggressive movement is just as distressing. It is time for the games industry to stand up to it. She continues with, a few months ago I wrote about a consulting agency, Sweet.
It is never a good idea to go against your audience and to condemn your audience. It's never a good idea. Because if you don't like what your audience is, then stop making products for them and make a product for a different audience. Yeah, you've already failed. The moment that you think that you have to like reality check or something like that, your audience, like go against them like this, you've already failed. Yeah, the customer's always right. When you condemn your audience, you forsake everything you've built upon. Well, when you condemn your audience, like if you have a group of people and you're talking down to them constantly and calling them stupid, why would they want to listen to you? Why would they like you?
Baby Incorporated, that found itself in the center of a conspiracy theory. Aggrieved gamers on a Steam forum had erroneously concluded that a small agency was somehow mandating the inclusion of more diverse characters in games. Depressingly, but unsurprisingly, the result was a tremendous amount of targeted harassment towards the people that work at Sweet Baby and every journalist who reported on it, particularly women.
Well, the reason why it was every journalist that reported on it is because every journalist that reported on it had the exact same cookie-cutter opinion, because in the industry of journalism, I assume that you can't have the other opinion. That's the real problem. That's why people hate journalism. People hate journalism because it's all of the same people that are like, oh yeah, there's all these different companies that all have the same opinion. There's no real diversity here.
It was a disturbing echo of Gamergate, an online harassment campaign 10 years ago that initially sprung up from the wild accusations of a game developer's vindictive ex-boyfriend. The language has changed a bit in the...
Which, by the way, the things that people liked with Gamergate and the things that people were really pushing for happened. I would say Gamergate was largely a success. And the reality is that a lot of the things that people were concerned about during Gamergate were legitimate and they were valid. And that's why it got changed. That's the reason why after Gamergate, the influence and popularity of every single other one of these like websites totally went into the fucking shitter. And if you don't believe me, go on Google Trends, look up every single one of the different websites that was involved with Gamergate, look at their search results, look at their trending from 2014 to now. Literally 5% of where they were at. If that.
Past decade, they used to be upset about SJWs or social justice warriors, and now they've taken issue with a different acronym, DEI. Diversity, equality, and inclusion, or just good old woke. But the sentiment from this group is the same. Games are for us, only for us, and if you want games to change or tell stories outside of the straightforward, male-oriented power fantasies that we grew up with, well, that's not allowed. We won't stand for it. In fact, we will try to aggressively harass you out of the space entirely.
Of course, because that's what you try to do. Of course they're going to do that. Because this is a defense mechanism. You're coming into their space, and you're telling them this needs to change. You need to stop doing this. You need to do things the way that I want you to do them. Of course they're going to push you out. Who the fuck are you? Their space? It is. It's their space. Yes, if you come into somebody else's space, you come into a fan base of something, and you immediately start complaining about it, and you start saying, oh, this is bad, that's bad, I don't like this, I don't like that, at a certain point, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Yeah, go make your own space. Not everybody in the world is entitled, like, you're not entitled to be accommodated by everybody. And I guarantee you, if you went into their space, that's what they'd say to you. If you don't like it, why the fuck are you here? Yes.
Unfortunately, the anti-woke campaigning has not led up much in intervening months. Led by a coterie of the usual grifters, they have taken issue with, in no particular order, the fact that Aphrodite, the literal goddess of love, is not hot enough in Supergiant's Hades 2. That female...
I also want to say the word grifters is really being misused a lot here. So being a grifter is when you do something that is inauthentic for money or attention. I don't think that anybody who has these opinions is being inauthentic. And the reason why is that if you were grifting, it would be much more profitable if you were able to
not
push
have that
the agenda that's being held by the establishment.
Like they're the
Siding
literal
with the
grifters.
establishment is always
It's
more
called projection.
beneficial in terms of money, because you're going to get more sponsors, you're going to get more opportunities.
Retards use it a
You're
lot.
going to get a lot of money. That's not true. I'm sure you understand making content better than I do. For sure. Thanks for your insight.
characters in recent game trailers all have square jaws and masculine bodies. That journalists gave the recent PS5 game Stellar Blade bad reviews because its female characters were too hot. That too many games feature DEI haircuts, and that Ubisoft was somehow forced by shadowy forces of wokery to make the main character in its upcoming Assassin's Creed game a black samurai.
So this is another thing that a lot of people like to do, is they like to misrepresent what the problem is. And so the misrepresentation that's happening here is that it's the implication that Ubisoft is being forced into doing this by another company. Which is like, it's basically you're creating a straw man to argue against that. Ubisoft invited the company in. Ubisoft wants them to do this. Ubisoft isn't being forced. They are actively cooperating with it, and they are wanting it to happen themselves. So it's easy to shift the argument slightly to make the people that you're arguing against sound ridiculous and stupid. And that's what they're doing here. They're not engaging with the actual problem. They're creating a kind of parallel of the problem, or they're misinterpreting it, and then they're arguing against that.
Predicting historical evidence. This last claim was bolstered by the king of bad posters himself, Elon Musk, who replied to a tweet about this manufactured outrage with DEI kills art. Man, there is a lot that was said here. First thing I'm going to say is this. The closer in proximity to an issue that you are, the less perspective that you have on it. Think about it. When you're right up on top of it, the only thing that you can see is the opposition. What they're saying, what they're thinking, what they want to do, what they think about you. And as such, you're always on the offense or the defense. And that goes for both sides of these kind of discussions. And I think what really highlights that loss in perspective is how they bring up Gamergate in this article. Because from my perspective, as somebody that had nothing to do with it
going on there?
I wasn't even making videos on video games at the time. I read a couple articles, watched a couple videos, and I always viewed it as players waking up to the realization that there could be some conflicts of interest within the industry that are working against and doing a disservice.
And that's
to
pretty
the
much what it
consumer.
was. Yeah.
Why wouldn't?
And there were, it was documented, it was explained, and now the industry doesn't work the way that it does.
Yeah,
Or
we
that
won.
It did back then. There was a lot of it. It was a massive amount of it.
We won.
They think that when every
Can't believe people complain over how much hotter a girl should be. The reason why they're complaining about it is because they think that her appearance is an artificial representation of an ideal that they think is detrimental to a video game. They actually don't care about the way the character looks. They care about why the character looks that way.
other industry that's out there has some level of corruption, why would it be so far off for players to believe that video game studios and publishers are colluding with journalists and critics to make sure that their games are shown in a better light?
Somebody says, why? You can't... That's not a good argument. Why? Why would you change it? Why would you make it look this way? You can't change things to the way that you want and then get mad when people say they don't like them and say, why do you care? Well, you cared enough to change it, So why are we making an argument of triviality? You're the one that this is why we're talking about it. It's because of you. He's trying to find an understanding. Yeah. Why is trying to find understanding? No, it's not. Not in this case.
Especially when so much money's riding on the line to begin with. And I think that Gamergate was something that actually did a solid service to the players because they woke up to that realization. They're a little bit more cautious with their spending. They don't take review scores at face value and say, there we go.
Huge positive.
Oh, I guess I'm going to go ahead and buy this game. They're a little bit more cautious with it. They want more information. They don't want to just see a cutscene trailer. They want to see gameplay. They don't want to see gameplay in like 3 minutes. No, they want to see 15, 20, 30-minute clips. Heck, they want to watch somebody play the game for a few hours before they want to buy that game. And I think a lot of that is coming from what had happened back then. And, man, you know, it just goes to prove that these sides that are so...
Well, I think that another reason why a lot of trust was lost with gaming journalism, and I think also, and this is an interesting parallel, I kind of don't want to do this because it's going to derail chat, but I'm going to do it anyway. A really great parallel to this is how much the media tried to reassure people that Joe Biden was like mentally sound. It's like the emperor's new clothes. Everybody can see he's naked, but nobody's allowed to say it. And so you have the media constantly reassuring you and telling you it's everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is fine. And you see it happen and it's like, this is obviously not fine. And then eventually it gets so much to like the debate and people are like, okay, what the fuck? Right? And it literally can't be denied anymore. They're still trying to defend him, right? Exactly, you're being gaslit. And that's why people hate the media. That's why people hate CNN. That's why they hate Fox News. That's why they hate Kotaku. That's why they hate Rock, Paper, Shotgun, Polygon. That's why they hate all of these different journalist outlets. That's why they hate Forbes. That's why they hate InfoWars. That they hate it because these people are taking something and they're putting an agenda onto it. And I guess in InfoWars case, it's not the case. They know they're fucking biased. But in general, they're putting an agenda on it and they're trying to act like they're neutral. That's the problem. It's because they're lying. And they're lying in a way that's so blatant and obvious that any normal, reasonable person can see it. Like, I guarantee you, if you took, like, somebody who's completely non-political and you had them listen to Joe Biden on that debate, they would think, what the fuck is going on? But nobody in the media wanted to say that. Nobody wanted to call that out. And there's even clips of them saying he's the most, you know, like the smartest as he's been. What the fuck is this? And the same thing happens with video games. So you have this instance where this supposed free marketplace of ideas collectively agrees on the exact same values, and every single person in that marketplace pushes those values.
That's bad.
There's no diversity at all. And this has happened with a lot of things. I'm just saying, like, it's not just gaming journalism. That's the point that I'm making. Is it's journalism as a whole. Literally delusional, give out...
There's no way I can do it. Oh, what the fuck? And he's faster than me?
So opposed
oh
to
my god, guys.
Same polarity because they both sound the exact same.
I'm just gonna have to fucking tank this shit, dude. It's so dumb.
Wider angle, and they're like dogs that are barking on either side of a fence, and they're getting further and further away. They could cross behind the fence, by the way. It's open on the other side, but they don't want to have that kind of discussion. And what ends up happening is they start trampling on and drowning out the genuine concerns and the voices of the people that are in the middle. And that's often where the truth ends up lying. And there are issues that are in the games industry today that she's glossing over. And the proof is just how she brings up some of the games that are out there. Especially talking about Hades 2 or Stellar Blade and the backlash that came with some of those games. You have to ask, why are players agreeing with this? Don't believe that everybody agreeing with it is just these crazy bigots and wild folks that are out there. No, there's other people in the middle that are agreeing.
Well, even if they are, that's just what the audience is. Like, at a certain point, you're like, what are you doing? Like, you can spend your whole life trying to teach a dog to do math, and the dog still isn't going to know how to multiply a fraction. What are you doing trying to get into this space where you think that there's this massive contingency of people that are horrible? Like, where's the light at the end of that tunnel? It's never going to stop. It's not like these people are going to like, oh, wait a minute. All my opinions are wrong. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to change my mind. Are you sure? Absolutely, I'm sure. 100%. Could you? Can we not agree things have become more misogynistic online? Just look at chat. Are things more misogynistic online? Yes and no. So, in some cases, yes. But I think that the majority of misogyny that comes from online people are girls that are trying to sell porn on the internet, and people don't like it. Like, are you categorizing criticizing girls for doing OnlyFans as misogyny? Because if you are, then yeah, I would agree with you. But I don't think that's misogyny. And this comes from somebody who is not I'm not a OnlyFans hater. I don't understand why they hate it. They don't like porn. The reality is that like a lot of these girls, like here's another little, like, how do you think a girl finds out to do an OnlyFans before she, like, the day she turns 18? You think that she just learned about the website that day? Spawn camping? Yep, there it is.
Come on. With them as well. Why is that? But nobody wants to pay attention to that. For some odd reason, when there's a culture war, there can only be one winner. People in the middle can't actually exist. But for me, I say fuck that. I'm going to clearly state my position. Games should be, and the vast majority of times are, inclusive. But at the exact same time, we can't pretend like we're okay with the industry heavily leaning into inclusivity for profit. It's blatant and it's plastered everywhere. Movies, TV, gaming, it's overwhelming. Co-opting identities and gender not for the sake of art, quality, and ethics, but for money and personal preservation. Why do companies change their logos to rainbows in the US and EU during Pride, but keep it their standard logo in other countries? Why?
It's because they only care about money, and they would be celebrating gay people getting killed if they could make money off of it. That's the reason why. And in fact, some of them do. They've never cared about this. I am amazed how many stupid sheep people just celebrate whenever a company says something positive about an LGBT issue. It's
I'm not amazed at all.
Because it's just, it's like people are so easily manipulated.
People are fucking retarded.
Are you
dude.
actually amazed anymore?
As a rule of thumb.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I am. I'm surprised. Second ever Disney records Mulan, a fucking city where they have internment camps actively miles away from the set. Yeah, there it is. Of course, LGBT people are going to celebrate a W, though. I don't think that you should celebrate a W whenever the only reason it was done is to sell you more garbage. When a company is trying to push a
It's not a
social
W,
issue,
it's disingenuous.
they are doing this as a measured decision that they have come to that will result in making money. And in involving themselves inside of this social issue, they pollute the social issue with their own brand value. So, for example, when you're thinking about Target, and you're thinking about, oh, Target did this LGBT, like, Iraq and everything last year, and, you know, people are talking about it, this pollutes the issue of LGBT because it pollutes it with Target's own brand image. It pollutes it with Target's own past controversies and issues. And that's why it's bad for these issues, is that these companies attach themselves to these issues like parasites and suck the good out of them while infecting them with the bad from their brand image. That's what they're doing. Blizzard does the same fucking thing.
Are different races and genders minimized or removed in games, movies, and television in China? It's because none of these companies care about you. They care about what's in your wallet. And that goes for both sides of this debate. Truth of the matter is, these companies will do anything
That was
for money.
close.
And the real unease, the real issues at play, is that the biggest players in the industry are trying to wrangle everyone into one single audience, and it's causing a lot of issues.
That is a big issue. And also, like, another component to this is that you're already seeing a lot of people, like, that are becoming, like, I think that the negativity towards LGBT, especially, like, trans issues, has, like, 5x'd or 10x'd in the last 2 years. Like, ever since, like, there was a big conversation, and there's always been a conversation about this, but it's, like, really kind of gone to, like, a fever pitch recently about, like biological males competing in women's sports. This has exacerbated and escalated the amount of people that are, like, negative towards trans people by, like, I think probably 5 or 10x, if not more. So, what do you think is going to happen when that becomes the popular opinion to have, which it seems like it's becoming? What do you think these companies are going to do then? I think we're going to be going back to family values. Remember family values, guys? This is a really good time, huh? Fuck that. Oh, God.
Extreme positions can't gain any traction unless there are those in the middle who can see truth on one side's opinion. Forced DEI is killing games. However, it's not for any of the reasons that anybody is saying right now. And instead, it's being co-opted into part of a culture war, and that's being done on purpose by these creators. It's the intended outcome. What nobody is talking
I'm so
about
fucking
is
stuck.
why are players seeing female protagonists and a diverse cast of characters and immediately assuming that that game will be bad. It's because players have begun to perceive wokeness in games as a bad thing, not because of the inclusivity itself, but because of its perceived lack in quality. Almost every television show, movie...
I think
Yo, what?
it's not the
Bullshit.
perceived lack in quality so much, it's that when you see something or somebody that's in a game or a story that you know that, or at least you think, I can't say you think that the only reason why this is happening is in order to check a box and in order to like pay lip service to some sort of message. As soon as you believe that's what's happening, the immersion is broken from the story. And I think also you can make the logical conclusion that
I hate this fucking map, dude.
a writer or a person crafting a
This
story
fucking purple shit on the
doesn't
ground
care
every
enough
fucking
about their
time.
story, that they are willing to compromise certain parts of the story in order to fit into contemporary social ideals. I think that the probability of the story being bad is going to be higher. Because fundamentally what you're saying is these people are okay to compromise their story and they don't care about the integrity of their story as much. So, logically, you would assume that the stories, on average, will be worse. And I think that's another reason.
And game today, pre and post-release, that runs around doing interviews and press releases about how inclusive their media is, ends up being a dumpster fire of a final product because the creators are so focused on the identities rather than the qualities. The poor quality in various media today is now being represented by the characters that these studios are putting into these games. As such, these creators are quite literally training people to believe that diversity and inclusivity are what are ruining games, not bad design and poor writing. Inclusivity and representation are great things.
And also, it would logically make sense that if a game let's say you're trying to make a new game, right? And the game
You're
is
100%
not
right,
getting
by the way.
investment. Wouldn't it be a logical decision
A
for
game
you
doesn't fail
to,
because it's
if
woke.
your
A game
is
fails
bad and
because it's
not getting
terrible.
investment, add in
The
diversity
wokeness
to
is just a
hopefully get
symptom.
investment through diversity funds? Because that's logically what would happen, right? And so, and this is it's going into no? Well, absolutely. It's absolutely a factor. Yes, and it's happening. Yeah.
Just look at Veilguard, right? That game was absolute dog shit. Super fucking boring combat. Terrible writing. The puzzles were you can't even call them puzzles, okay? Brain dead. They treat the player like you're a brain dead moron. The fact that all of that is going on highlights just how bad the wokeness in that game is on top of because of that, right? Because the game is so bad, because the writing is so bad, and then all this forced political DEI bullshit comes out even more. It stands out more, which is why people latch onto it. If the game was good, nobody gives a fuck, dude. Only the most extreme people. And I don't mean that as the lunatics. I mean that as the most extreme viewpoints, I guess, or the most rigid personalities will, for example, not buy Baldur's Gate 3 because you can have a transgender character, right? If the game is good, people wouldn't care. The vast majority of people wouldn't care.
Yes, and tax breaks. Is that a thing? It absolutely is a thing. 100%. Now, it's not the only factor, but it is a point on the rubric. So, basically, if these companies had to make a decision, and they say that they do this, right? This isn't like me making this up. They say that they're making decisions that follow this paradigm. So, logically, games that are bad, that feel like they need that extra boost, will pivot to this because it's easier to get money that way. So it again creates another confirmation bias that woke is making the games bad. And what I'm saying is that I think a lot of these games are bad to begin with, and they use woke to try to cover it up. That's what I think is going on.
100%.
That's the biggest thing. Woke is a symptom of a problem, not the disease. Isn't that worse? I don't know. I mean, you could. It depends, right? I'm just saying that's what I think is happening.
One can agree on that. However, bad representation for the sake of it just being there, either for virtue signaling or marketing purposes, puts a face, a signifier on what is ruining games in the eyes of players. They are creating targets. When I see a developer feel the need to virtue signal about how great it is that they put a woman into their video game or how they made a character gay, it shows me that they have no confidence in the work itself. It's all about the identity of the character and not the qualities of that character's design. The quality of the story that's told and the innovation that it brings to the games.
And also, by the way, if you look at a lot of these studios and you look at the people that are in the studio, it's just a bunch of white women that are congratulating each other for loving diversity. That's the real reason. You just pull up one of the studios. Just go look at the pictures. Just go look at one of these big studios. Open up a picture of all the people in the studio. That's what it is. Ubisoft is my #1 example.
Experience. I assume that it's not high quality, and most times it's not. Journalists, developers,
Bunch of
and
white
players
people jacking
jump
each other
to
off.
defend the practice, not realizing that these creators are using social
I can
issues
tell.
as a shield of inclusivity to defend their poor quality,
Yeah, they
lack of skill, lack of ability, and lack of creativity by saying that anybody who's criticizing them are bigots. Checkmate. What's really disappointing is
he's right about that.
That there's not enough people that are calling this out, saying it for what it is. That it's not wokeness or DEI that's killing these games. It's people without talent that are killing these games. Name a game that was perceived as woke, that had awesome gameplay and a great story, and nobody wanted to play it, and it didn't do well in sales. Guess what? You can't find it. It doesn't exist.
He's right. He's completely right. Woke stuff does not make a game bad, but it will make a bad game worse.
Final Fantasy XVI portrayed a relationship between Dion and Sir Terrence. It was tasteful, it was well done, the story was great, the gameplay was awesome, the music was absolutely banging in that game. Guess what? Zero backlash. Baldur's Gate 3, Herald is one of the greatest
I swear I didn't
RPGs
pre-watch
of
this.
all time. A game that many players have pointed to and said, this is the game. Why can't you guys make games like this anymore?
Look at Hogwarts Legacy as well.
Buy game that's on the entire market.
There's a transgender character. It
No
didn't.
backlash.
It didn't fit at all. It really took me out
It's
every
really
single
disappointing
time.
that people
But it's still a good
post it.
game
Here's
because it was a
another
good game.
example.
You know.
So if you go and you look at, where's the video that I saw? Maybe it's this one. I'm not sure which one. Yeah, right here. The opening scene. There's a black guy there. I think there's like an Asian guy as well. Yep. There's already, like within the first 10 seconds.
Yeah, which is crazy, by the way, right? Because anyone who knows anything about Space Marine, about 40K, knows that the hang on. Anyone that knows anything about 40K knows that 99% of the a Legion looked almost exactly like their Primarch, right? They're not clones, but they might as well be. They're very fucking close, all right? Like, they all look super fucking similar, bro. The fact that you have an Asian, a black guy, and a white guy in the same fucking squad is like nonsense, bro. But nobody gives a fuck because the game is good, all right?
There's already like 2 inclusions of characters that are non-white. Scroll down, not a single fucking comment is bringing up DEI.
Writing this article right now that are involved in a lot of these communities.
Gamers know,
aren't
yeah.
the ones that are out there.
And that's the thing, is that it's the same thing, it's the same as the Biden thing. Everybody knows it when they see it. Everybody fucking knows it. You see Joe Biden No, this is ridiculous. This is embarrassing. Oh, no, he just has a stutter. He just said, no, it's this. Oh, he said, no, bro, no, we see it. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. It's the same as this.
That are fighting on their side, that aren't talking about how some of these companies are out there co-opting people's identities and races for the use of profit and for the use of protecting their own jobs, shielding themselves from criticism, kind of shield of inclusivity.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are ruining games. People that don't have a creative cell in their entire body. The article continues with, Assassin's Creed Shadows producer Mark Alexis Cote addressed Musk's tweet in an interview with GameFile's Stefan Tilo last week. It's sad he's just feeding hatred. I had a lot of 3-word replies that came to mind, he said. The first thing I wanted to do was go back on X that I had deleted and just tweet back. What Elon says is not the game that we're building. People will have to play the game for themselves, and if within the first 11 minutes and 47 seconds they aren't convinced of what we are doing, we can have the discussion. For the record, there is plenty of historical basis for the depiction of Black Samurai Yasuke in the game.
Nope.
Just after Summer Games Fest finished,
That didn't work. That didn't quite work out, did it? That turned out to be a lie.
This is the thing, is that
unbelievable.
You get so focused on it's funny as fuck. It's false. Well, here's the thing: is that isn't there like way more stuff about like a bunch of other samurai during the time that there's like that are way more well known, that are way less contentious? What are we talking about here? Yes, obviously there is. And also, like, I would ask them, why did you think it was a good idea that during the boss fight with Yasuke, you started playing hip-hop for the combat scene? What's that? You can go back and look at the video yourself. Did they do that? No, they literally did. They literally did that. It's a stereotype. Yeah, it's just a stereotype. And that's what I was saying before. It's about white people congratulating themselves on diversity. As I said, it's like the, you know, the black person gets in the car, you turn on a hip-hop station, and you say, hey, this one's for you. It's the same exact fucking energy.
It's so true, though. It's so true, dude. The fact that hip-hop starts playing when you play with the Black Samurai is so fucking racist, bro.
Lays out the history of
hilarious.
sexism at the developer of the up-and-coming Planet of the Apes meets Sekiro action game Black Myth Wukong. The response, surprise, was to go after the woman who wrote it, while also spinning a ludicrous conspiracy theory that IGN was blackmailing the developer. You can go.
They were, and I don't think it was IGN, but I think it was the developer themselves, or sorry, the writer themselves. Is that they created a problem that didn't exist, and then categorized
I don't know anything about
the
this,
developer. I think Game Science were the ones that are.
I kind of let Black Wukong pass me by, man.
They basically provided an unsubstantiated claim.
It's good.
Or just basically like any claim. Like, let me take a step back. If a journalist says that you are something, this company has no obligation to come out there and clear their name. Nobody has to go and, oh, well, I said this about you, how are you going to respond? Who the fuck said somebody has to respond to you? Who decided that, like, now, that you're obligated to a response because you've decided to say this? And this is the problem. It's that these people make baseless accusations, or what usually is the case is it's not baseless, but they make dishonest accusations. And then they basically, by making this dishonest accusation, they indirectly appoint themselves as a position of, I get to make judgments over whether a company is being bad or not. And when a company chooses to say, we're not engaging in this, we're not accountable to you, you're nothing to us, we're making this game, people are going to buy it, whether you like it or not, well, then they get really mad. Because this completely destroys the power dynamic. And that's what it's about. It's about the power dynamic.
Go down a rabbit hole of quite jaw-dropping horribleness on any one of these manufactured conspiracies, but take it from me, it's really not worth it.
The reactionary underlayer of gaming's enthusiast media, which makes its home mostly on X and YouTube, does not actually have the slightest impact on how games are made, or indeed which games are made.
Yeah.
But they do have an impact on which studios close. So,
Ja, wat wilde jij hebben?
yeah, I don't know. That's a good thing, by the way. You make dog shit, you should
Ja.
be fired. It's the way it goes.
Daar heb ik altijd goesting voor.
Gamergate. What did
Daar heb ik altijd goesting voor.
I am. And I love it.
it actually achieve? Games are more diverse than they were 10 years ago, not less. I saw more non-white male faces and characters in this year's spat of Summer Games Fest trailers and demos than at any previous time in almost the 20 years I've been covering games. But they can still make people's lives online hell for a while. I know this because I've been through it.
Well, just because you're making a game doesn't mean that you're,
Okay, let me go downstairs. Order food. I'll be back. Food ordered, yes sir. Nice and disgusting French taco.
Doesn't mean you're gonna
Just
make
nothing
money.
like a taco. I don't know why they call
That's
it
the
taco.
issue. Is that, like, you know, a game
a
like
wrap.
Forspoken was, you know,
I don't
was
know.
set to be like a huge game. It was going to be like one of the big games that year. And it came out and
Oh, that's
everybody
don't
hated
tell.
it. So just because a development studio is making a game, if these games don't sell well and they're not successful, these studios don't really care about these social things. Because the studios aren't the ones that are making the decisions. The people that are making the decisions are the people that are invested in the companies and the people that run the companies. The creative people are really, in a lot of cases, not making the calls. And whenever the people that aren't making money at the top, like whenever their head's on the chopping block, they're going to change things. And it's already happening.
Several times. It's crazy that she can say something or at least think something in the right direction, but then be completely wrong about it, and it's because, again, she's looking at it through an incredibly narrow lens. Throwing context and nuance aside in the face of being able to shadow box those perceived demons that are across the aisle. Musk was undoubtedly beating the drum of division for engagement purposes. The guy's a content creator more than anybody else. There is tons of examples of people that are like him. But why are there so many people that are finding themselves agreeing with these posts about Assassin's Creed Shadows? Tell me which is more believable.
Well, if there's enough people that agree with it and everybody thinks the game is bad and people vote the game down and they say it's a bad game, then the game's bad. It doesn't really matter what your opinion is. It's the Lion Ted thing. It's really just so simple. And this is a big thing that I think a lot of people struggle with, is that if enough people believe something, then functionally it becomes true. Now, it doesn't make it true, but for all intents and purposes, it is true.
That the vast majority of white male gaming audiences that you perceive don't want black characters in games? Or is it because Ubisoft has been shoveling garbage out for years now, raising their prices to absurd levels, monetizing everything possible, hasn't innovated, and now seems to be using diversity to market a game that everybody knows will be just as repetitive and unoriginal as the prior? All well-adjusted humans that see the direction that all forms of media have been going in lately, see the main character isn't Japanese, and say, huh.
That's weird.
Again, extreme positions don't gain traction unless there are issues that are pushing people from the middle
well, I don't have
to one
rings.
side. Now, with
realized.
that said, I agree with her statement on ludicrous conspiracy theories. With so many people that are out there grifting on both sides of these issues that are making it difficult for you to want to be able to agree with either side because you know that they're going to have some wacko theory that's connected to it.
Yeah, I think there's some people that take it way too far, where it's like every single time that a character or a person is on screen that's not like a white person or a guy, they'll like mauled out about it. I think that's the issue, though, is like, yeah, then vote your dollar. No, that's what I think people should do. Yeah, it does. At a certain point, it becomes like so obvious that it's like you're just farming, basically.
That are on extreme opposing sides can't agree on something, otherwise they're going to look like they've changed sides. Like Keza, I don't believe that there wasn't a...
Yeah, and this is another factor, is that this is another example of how people are stupid. Changing your mind based off of evidence is considered a bad thing. And there's a huge contingency of people that respect a person who will hold an opinion that's been proven wrong by evidence because it was their original opinion. I think a great example of this is the Dr. Disrespect drama. So originally, I was like, I don't know if I believe this. I think that we need more evidence to understand this better. And then Doc puts out the statement, and I say, man, this doesn't look very good. And they said, oh, wow, it looks like you're changing your mind. You're changing your opinion. What are you doing changing your mind? That's what happens.
More information came out.
People in general do not respect changing your opinion. Because changing your opinion means that you were wrong. And people don't like being wrong. And there's no obligation that people have to be right. Somebody like a dumb person on the internet can think the earth is flat, and we can't put them in jail. You just have to, there it is. It's right there. So they are under no obligation to adhere to the same logic that you do.
attempted $7 million extortion conspiracy when it comes to Black Myth Wukong, as there is no proof or mention of that anywhere. I mean,
it's totally made up.
Look at how many people grifted off of attaching Sweet Baby Incorporated's name to their YouTube titles, articles, and tweets in regards to whatever company allegedly perpetrated this extortion. However, at the exact same time, she completely ignores the cultural differences and the intentional mistranslations conducted regarding the interview with Black Myth Wukong's developer and the garbage level of sensational journalism on the side of IGN. Because
well, the real problem is actually a lot, it's a lot more surface level than that, but it's a lot more broad. The real problem is that these people appoint themselves to a position of power and then expect everybody else to accommodate them. They expect everybody to be like, oh, okay, well, you're in this position, you believe this, and like now everybody has to listen to what you're saying. That's the real reason. What people? Like the journalist that wrote the article. She wrote an article about Black Myth Wukong that was negative about it, and then she was angry because Black Myth Wukong didn't come out and refute or address her article. That's the real issue. It's these people think that they have a power dynamic, and they don't. They actually have no power. And I think that's what, for example, Gamergate back 10 years ago started to prove. And that's why their popularity has gone down massively. And now they really don't have any power. Because they're just like, they have these tiny little audiences, and it's like a bunch of other people that think exactly like they do. And like, yeah, they can still, and this is a problem, right? It's taking time for this to adjust. But there are still a lot of companies that have a very antiquated media policy and media philosophy and strategy that they still think that appealing to like mainstream outlets is a good idea. Those people are not an audience. They're tiny, minuscule, fractional, they don't matter. If a game is good, that's the only thing that matters. And the relationship that you have with the public is the only thing that makes a difference. Journalists used to be the gatekeeper between games and the public because of things like IGN, and not IGN, sorry, Nintendo Power, Game Informer, magazines, things like this, because that's how you would hear about video games now. But the fact is that the internet has democratized that entire process. So now you don't have gatekeepers anymore because people on YouTube can do the same thing. People on Twitch can do the same thing. So a journalist no longer has the gatekeeping power that they used to, but they're acting as if they do. And I think that's what a lot of people really don't like, because like for me, I see this as just a blatant power play. This is a blatant power play. You're trying to make them look bad so you can appoint yourself as the arbiter of this situation.
They cannot cede any ground to those who disagree with them. Plenty of journalists do this, ignoring the elephant in the room because they can't be caught agreeing with the opposition. Not long ago,
which is another, that's what I was saying originally. That's the big problem. It's that when every single journalist and every single person in the media has the same opinion about something, then how can you expect anybody to take it seriously?
Paul Tossi of Forbes wrote an article talking about the issues that journalists face, and he dismissed the concern of players by saying there is a public war against games journalism by in part the anti-woke crowd who believes the progressive-leaning outlets are going extinct because of alleged activist takes.
That's true. They're right. It's provable. It's provable by every single third-party metric that's available. There's no allege. Like, you just look at the Google trends, look at the amount of site visits, look at the amount of ads they need, look at the fact they're firing people in Kotaku. Like, it's falling apart. I don't even look at the stock. Yeah. I mean, it's not even an argument. It's fantastic. I think it's a good thing too.
Yep.
Even when there are clear cases of many propagandized positions in today's gaming media. When you dismiss or ignore the elephant in the room, it doesn't make it smaller. That's not how this works.
Nope. If anything, it makes it bigger. And that's, again, it's what I was saying about Biden. Yep. Same exact thing.
No wonder gamers could come to the conclusion that there is a concerted effort in the games industry to have this propagandized position, this plan that they have in place that they're using against a developer in the industry, when every other journalist that's out there goes out and either hand waves the entire issue or ignores it entirely.
Well, it's not even that. It doesn't even. I would even go farther than that. I would say that not only do they hand wave the issue, but there is a universal opinion that you are supposed to have about it. And I think that's the big issue. These people are educated, and by and large, educated vote left. Does that not suggest that ignorance is in part to be played with the culture war? Oh, that like stupid people care about this? Well, it doesn't matter, right? Like at the end of the day, like I think that there are a lot of opinions that I think that if the collective society had like more emotional intelligence or like more logical intelligence, that we wouldn't have problems with these things anymore. We can always talk about what society would be like if people weren't the way they are. And hey, you want to do that? Go ahead. But I think that's a waste of time. I want to talk and think about what's actually happening.
Cosigns for it. That's the case that we have with this article from The Guardian. She quite literally cosigns on what the girl had said in the article, even though it's already been shown that it was mistranslated and also misrepresented in their article that they made. So of course players are going to come to the conclusion of that. And what that does is it only serves to embolden the position of the players that held the belief that, well, there might have been an extortion fee to this because, well, if you're going to ignore this blatant lie...
Well, it's effectively an extortion fee. We're going to label you with this thing, and in order to remove this thing, you have to hire these people that make it to where you don't have this thing. You know, like the last boss in the Elden Ring DLC that puts the debuff on you, and then you have to use the item to remove the debuff? This is the same thing. We're putting a debuff on you, and you have to use the item to have the debuff not be on you anymore. It's that simple.
That's attached to it, well then chances are you're lying about the other thing too. That's the conclusion that people are going to come to. They are the ones that are creating this issue for themselves. Stop being so reactionary. Stop paying attention to what people are saying and ask why people are saying these things. Be pro-actionary. The article concludes with, I was running the UK brand.
I would argue that a lot of the issues that people have with things that seem to be woke are fundamentally reactionary. Because they are reactionary from the way gaming used to be. So we are changing gaming because of the way it used to be. That's being reactionary. Also, I don't know where this idea came from that being reactionary is bad. I don't necessarily understand that. Because if things were good the way they were and you thought they were good, then somebody changes them and you say, I don't like that, change it back. That's not necessarily being bad. There's nothing wrong about that. Reaction, like, yeah, everything to some degree is reactionary. I think this is it's a dishonest term.
Branch of Kotaku when Gamergate kicked off, and I had a front row seat to their harassment tactics, which included sending the most disgusting threats imaginable through all online channels available to them, trying to get me fired by emailing game publishers and my bosses with dossiers of my professional misdeeds and journalistic failings. Writing about video games from a
Yeah, but they do the same thing.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Right? Like, remember when that one guy that hit that Cabrutus, the guy that did the Sweet Baby Inc. detected group? Remember whenever he made that group, they constantly tried to get him banned. They tried to get his Steam account banned. They tried to get the group deleted. They tried to ruin this guy's life. So no, I'm not gonna cry about this happening. Too bad. You shouldn't have done it to them. They wouldn't have done it to you. Or maybe they would have. But hey, if you had done it after that, it would have been a little bit more sympathetic. Now it's not. Like, don't go and play a game and then be surprised whenever somebody else starts playing the same game. They've been doing this forever. Oh, let's find out who this person is, and then we're going to, get them fired from their job. It's crazy. Yeah, that's what you get. Too bad.
Feminist perspective. Searching for me and my colleagues' real addresses and phone numbers and family members and posting those details to their subreddits if they found them. And putting them together in unhinged Google Docs with links drawn